Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon's webinar. It's good to see you here. It'll be great to know where you're joining us from. If you could drop that into the chat. My name's Monique Carayol. If you haven't met me before, I'm co-founder of Bravery in the Boardroom, and we will give colleagues a few minutes before we get started. Hi, Marcia, it's good to see you. I'm waiting for your questions, Marcia. Do put them into the Q&A. I know you're going to have some questions for me. Hi, Carla, wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for joining us as well today. Really good to see you. And Carla, I know you're going to have some questions for me. Hi, Marsha. Good to see you as well. You are most welcome today. Hi, Natasha. Good to meet you. Thank you for joining us as well today. So yeah, for anyone joining us, good afternoon. My name's Monique Carayol. I'm co-founder of Bravery in the Boardroom, and I am swapping seats today. So I'm just going to give colleagues a few moments to join, and then I am going to start clicking through the slides so that we can then get into the meat of today's session. Really wonderful to see people joining us today. You are most welcome. And if I could ask people, hi, Alia, really good to see you. Yes, and we just released a podcast episode yesterday as well. So everything going on in Bravery in the Boardroom. So great conversation with Asma Nafis, one of the senior leaders in the NHS and co-chair of APNA Network. So fantastic. Anne, I'm so happy to see you here. Hi, Mariam, really good to see you as well. Hi, Harminder, you're most welcome. Thank you so much. Millie, shall we click to the next slide so I can just cover some housekeeping? Thank you. So a warm welcome to everyone. Hi, Ronke. Really good to see you. The session is being recorded. If you are prompted, and I'm sure those of you who are here already, you're saying hello to me, so I believe you have enabled your audio. We absolutely want to receive your questions today. So as you know, we're flipping the script. So questions. Hi, Nikki. It's good to see you. Please do drop your questions into the Q&A for me. It will help Tara when it comes to the Q&A, the audience Q&A, and do interact with us during the chat box. If you've joined a Bravery in the Boardroom session before, you will know that I absolutely encourage you to interact with us. Hi, Hertie, really good. You're most welcome. Thank you for coming. I encourage you to interact with us. I encourage you to think about your questions, what you want to ask us, but also share your reflections and comments as we move through today's discussion and conversation. And do tag us on social media. So please do share. You're most welcome, Jay. Really good to see you here. Thank you for joining. Please do tag us on social media. So Bravery in the Boardroom, we're on Twitter and we're on LinkedIn. And also THC Primary Care Tara is on Twitter and LinkedIn as well. Do tag us. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what your top takeaways are. We always encourage that interaction as well. And it helps us to learn about what more you want to hear from in these sessions. So Millie, shall we click to the next slide? So I'm going to start with an intro. An introduction to us and what we do, and why I have a wry smile there is when I invite Tara to join me, I will let Tara talk about why I don't want to say persuaded me, but we had a conversation about today and what we wanted to cover. Tara will be interviewing me. As you know, we're flipping the script. We'll have an audience Q&A. And then Tara will also sum up some top takeaways from you. You know, we always like to do that. We have lots of conversations come thick and fast, but I really think it's important that we can summarize those top takeaways for you. And as I said, we encourage you to interact. As much as you're here with us to learn from what I share and what Tara asks me, I also want to make it clear that there's always a takeaway action from Bravery in the Boardroom. What's your call to action? And today will be slightly different. So you're most welcome, Juliet. Today will be slightly different in terms of the call to action, because usually with Bravery in the Boardroom, we very much speak about that focus on seeing more representation at senior level, particularly in the boardroom, and encouraging colleagues about career and leadership progression, and hearing from our panel guests who are usually execs and non-execs, so board members working across the NHS at the moment. Now, as you know, I am an ex-NHS director. But the conversation today is going to be, yes, about my journey, but also about career transitions. growing in your career. Jacob, is so good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Really helping you to think through and learn from and think about. So many of you speak to me offline. And I hear that comment time and time again about wanting to take that next step. I'm not ready yet. Thinking about transition, thinking about stepping out on your own in the way that I did. Really being honest about what it is you want to achieve and being okay with voicing it even. I know some people are even frightened to voice it. So today I want to connect that takeaway action to helping you, really helping you to take that next step. And then we will talk to you about next steps. So what's going to be going on in Bravery in the Boardroom next year? We'll touch on a little bit of that, and then we will be finishing up definitely by 4:30 at the latest. So am I right that we take the slides down now, Millie? I think we do. So before I hand over, I just want to touch on a little bit about Bravery in the Boardroom. So before I do that, so for any colleagues who are joining us today for the first time, so Gerald or VJ, you're most welcome. If you're joining us today for the first time, I just want to say a little bit about Bravery in the Boardroom and why I co-founded it. So we're coming up to our 2nd year anniversary. And the reason why and it's a movement. I describe Bravery in the Boardroom as a movement. And the reason why we started it was, like I said, I am determined to see boardrooms more representative of the communities and staff that they serve, particularly us seeing underrepresented groups really moving through, progressing their careers through to those senior levels. And what I know is I progressed, and I won't give away the whole story yet, I progressed. There were a number of factors that helped me to progress. And it wasn't just because I had talent. There's many people with talent, and for many reasons, they don't get to progress. And for me, being able to share, let's demystify it. There's so many things that colleagues say they don't understand or they don't know. Nobody's giving you that tap on the shoulder. I'm struggling to find a mentor. I don't know what the right development tools are for me. I'm hitting that glass ceiling and I don't know how to navigate it. Or the other side of the coin, I'm here. I'm in the boardroom. I'm in a senior role. And it's so isolating. And I feel so lonely. I'm the only one here. And I'm really struggling with that. I'm really struggling with, I'm here by sight, but I haven't got equity of voice. And for me, these sessions are really about, and what we do in Bravery in the Boardroom is really about being able to share those insights, that advice to support you on that journey. For you, if you are an underrepresented leader at any level who wants to progress, but also working with our colleagues who are in the majority, those who are in the decision-making roles, our chief people officers, our head of leadership development, our heads of EDI, our board level members, our CEOs, those who are responsible for recruiting or developing colleagues. Actually, what is it you learn? There's so many insights from what's shared here about how people have progressed successfully, what helps, what inclusive environments and inclusive leadership really looks like, and what more it is we can all do to help turn the dial now. So these webinars are a crucial part of what we do in being able to share what we know, because I really believe in that, holding that ladder out. You hear some people describing it as, and most importantly, that these are real, honest conversations. I think that underpins what we do, because sometimes you think you're not ready, and sometimes you think that you need to have something special in your locker to be ready to go. I want to take that away and actually let you see and get some insights into those who are doing it, to show you that actually you may not have all your ducks in a row. You know, you may not be all ready to roll yet, but it's still okay to step forward. So I'm going to stop talking there, and I am going to say, Tara, can you put your camera on, and can we flip our script? Because I'm very excited that you're joining me today.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking me. So shall I just jump straight in?
I think for anyone who doesn't know you, it would be good to say a little bit about you and what you do.
So I just think first and foremost, I'm your friend. We've been friends, we met on LinkedIn, and we've been friends for a good few years now. But for my day job, I run a company called THC Primary Care. I've been doing that for the past 8.5 years. And I've got 2 companies. The other one is THC Clinical Services. And I also host the Business of Healthcare podcast. And I feel like I did persuade you. I think that Monique and I have questions, not questions, have conversations behind the scenes all of the time. And I think, why do you not share this? Why do you not share this on your podcast? Why do you not just have it your own Bravery in the Boardroom? And she's like, but she's finally agreed. So I've got some questions, and they are, I think that I'm coming at it from another entrepreneur's perspective, to be honest. I want to understand, and I want the people on the call to hear your thought process. Can I just say, it makes me, in a weird way, like so proud. I think usually I invite Monique into like my space.
Yeah.
Today I'm in your space, and it's so lovely. Everybody's so excited to see you. So
I feel super nervous, by the way. Right? I feel super nervous handing over control. I feel super nervous because I know you're going to take me there, right? So yeah, I feel nervous. I just need to be honest about that.
Yeah. So my first question is, when was the last time you made a brave decision?
Oh my goodness. I think it's been within the last 6 weeks. And that brave decision has been about saying no. Because and let me explain. I'm just over 2 years in, I think, to running my own business. And it's really scary to say no, because you're trying to build your business up. I made a complete switch. So my background wasn't HR, leadership development, training, or anything like that. My background has been service improvement and transformation and strategy. But I had a passion for developing and growing leaders and teams. So I haven't really been able to pull my full black book through. So in terms of, I didn't set up a consultancy going, this is what I did in my day job before, and I'm just going to now do this here as a consultant, and go out and get the work in that way. I made a complete about turn. So as much as I've had relationships and contacts to go to, I'm coming to them as an expert in a different space. I'm a novice. I was a novice when I first started off. And I explain that because being brave enough to say no to work. Yeah. So before, I remember it took ages to get my first bit of paid work. It took a long time, and you're super nervous to charge and to do that. And so to now be in a space 2 years later where I can say no, and I haven't said no because I was inundated. I said no because I didn't think it was the right work for me, that I could do my best work in and add the best value to. And I also know you've got insight. Some clients are deeply challenging for different reasons, and sometimes you can set yourself the challenge, right? I can do it. But I'm in a space now where I'm really trying to understand. I know you're going to ask me about my zone of genius, but I'm really trying to understand it, because when you take work that's not really for you, my goodness me, it's so painful to try and deliver your best work. And it's really stressed me out on previous projects where I've done that, and it wasn't the best fit, or it wasn't my zone of genius. And it's really stressed me out trying to deliver the best output that I can. So it's been a brave decision that I made, saying no and recommending somebody else.
Do you think that you can build a business where you only do your zone of genius, you only do the things that you love and that you're really good at? Is there an element of sometimes work isn't fun?
I had this conversation with my dad recently, and I was a different client, and I was very nervous. This client has said they would like me to work with them. We had an introduction call, and they really want to go ahead. And I was very nervous. And I had a conversation with my dad about it. And he said to me, let me tell you something. He said, you're doing leadership development, right? And he said to me, and talent development. He said, if every organization was okay, they wouldn't need you. He said, so you have to understand that you're most likely to come into spaces where there's a challenge or there's a problem. That's why they're bringing you in. If you're always going to think that, I only want the ones that are, well, you're not going to have any work. He said, so, kind of get your head around that. And he's a bit of a harsh, straight talker, like you can be at times. but I heard it differently. So can you only get work that's in your zone of genius? I think we talk a lot, don't we, about niche till it hurts. That's your hashtag, niche.
Although I heard that apparently that's not a great strategy. So don't listen to me.
I don't know. So I think, I don't want to sit on the fence per se, but I think there's something I have learned from you, Tara, is about niche till it hurts in what you talk about and who you're talking to. And what I mean by that is, if I know I really want to work with people at this level or work with organizations who do this, whatever it is I'm saying, I have to speak to them. I have to try and reach them. Now, that doesn't mean, what you taught me was, it doesn't mean that all the other work falls away, and it doesn't mean that people won't come to you for other pieces of work. But if this is the work I love doing, I have to speak about it. I have to say, this is the work I'm doing in that space, and I have to look for clients for that work. It's not going to come to me by magic. So if I'm talking about 25 different things that I do, that person's got to sift all the way through it, haven't they? To get to me. Whereas if actually my zone of genius is this, I love and I know I have the biggest impact working with mid to senior leaders who want to progress and are working in deeply challenging and complex environments. I do my best work coaching and working with those leaders. Then I have to speak to them, and I have to say that, and I have to put that out there. So I think niche, in being clear on where your area of specialty or your zone of genius is, absolutely. Does that mean that you don't do other things in your portfolio? No, of course it doesn't, and that's okay. But if we don't be clear, that's what you taught me about, being clear about where that zone of genius is. And when I didn't know, when you asked me, I had to go away and do that thinking and reflection. What lights me up? Where do I think and feel that I'm having the most impact? And what am I hearing back also about where I'm having the most impact? And it's in that space that I just described to you.
What do people say about you when you do your work? Like, what's the testimony? What's the feedback people say about what does it feel to work with you, and what results do they get from working with you?
Oh my gosh, that's such an awkward question to ask me. You know what? Why I'm laughing is because this morning I was delivering a leadership development workshop to a cohort of mid-level health and social care managers. And one of the exercises, if you've been on one of my leadership development workshops, one of the exercises that I commonly do is identify 5 things that you're great at, right? And I say, if you're not comfortable, a lot of people are not comfortable speaking about what they're great at. And I say, if you're not comfortable, you can't think of anything, something that can help is thinking about what people say about you. What do you hear commonly that people say about you? So I'm giggling now because I'm thinking like, oh gosh, I don't know. What do they say about me? I think what people say to me about me is real. You're real. You share your own honest reflections about when things went wrong, or when I felt fear as a leader in that space. I think they feel connected because I've got lived experience of being through some of what they have. I'm not talking from theory. I'm talking from practice, both from my own, but also how I supported and developed teams as well. I think that people would say about me is that I'm brave. I don't always feel brave, but they talk about the bravery and bringing that bravery to reality. And people talk about feeling supported and feeling, I don't think it's nurtured is the right word, but feeling encouraged, feeling like they're supported and they feel safe to take the action that I'm guiding them on. I think the final thing people say is clarity. So that real clarity of boiling it down to what is the key message here. People's feedback a lot that I'm very clear in how I speak, how I explain complex issues, and what that call to action is. So yeah, I think that's what I said. Farah's helping me out here. Thank you, Farah.
I think
Farah said me positive, kind, brave, and courageous. Thank you so much.
so. One of the things that we all do. So say if I'm like having a bad day, I'll like message you and be like, "This is the problem. This is the challenge." And then literally like 10 minutes later, I'm sorted. It's like it's like power coaching. It's like, this has happened. I'm thinking A or B, or I'm not quite sure. You'll ask me a few questions and I'm like, good. I'm good to go.
So I suppose if I was being more specific and answering that, so thank you for the prompt. If I was being more specific and answering that in terms of what my coaching clients say, and again, Carla's prompting me here. You give a lot of clarity and I chunk things down, and again, which brings focus. Thank you, Carla, because what I was going to say, what I get back a lot is the power of playback. So actually, I can hear a lot of information, but be able to distill that down and be able to play that back with that clarity of, this is where I think your area of focus is, or this is what I'm hearing from you in terms of taking action. Because I think with coaching, that cliche, right? The answers are all within, you know, and I call this out a lot, almost as a bit of fun as a coach. But, you know, the answers are all within, and you always say that to your clients. But I kind of roll my eyes with that as well. I say, well, the answers are within, but I'm here to help you access those answers. Yeah. And it's how we work together to help you access those answers. It's not well, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? It's not that, right? It's not that. That's not what people want. They want to feel the space is safe so they can unpack, but then we can sift through that and really understand where your blocker is. So even in those short voice notes, what is that blocker I'm hearing, in really listening carefully? So another thing I'd say there, Tara, is I think I listen very carefully to what people are sharing and how they're showing up to me.
Do you think you've only ever had one zone of genius? Did you think at the beginning when you started your business, this is my zone of genius? And now 2 years later, you're like, oh no, this is my zone of genius. Yeah. Zone of genius. Is it different, the same?
I think it's different. I think I've always had a gift for speech and public speaking. So I've always thought the vision for me is to be doing things like this and to be doing it on grander scales and reaching more people and really taking those messages out. I do think that's part of what I do. But if I really zone in, excuse the pun, my zone of genius is coaching.
Okay.
It really is. And I can see that by the impact that people tell me I'm having on them in terms of their leadership, their progression, their confidence, which is just amazing. It's amazing.
What do you think has been the most surprising thing about running a business? So you left in, I say comfort in, it might not have been that comfortable, but the comfort of having a steady job, going out and setting up your own business. Yeah, what has been the most surprising thing you have learned?
Stress comes in different bottles, right? And what I mean by that is it's been such polar opposites. And let me explain myself. When I was in my director role, it was stressful. It was stressful. It was stressful because of the pace. It was stressful because of the volume. It was stressful because of the accountability. You know, I took it seriously that I was a board member and we are accountable for this organization. Your posters up everywhere. You know, you will be in the press if something happens. I took that seriously, and that weighed on me a lot. The politics was stressful. Even when I was acing my role, it was stressful. The team was managing a team, leading a team was stressful. The politics internally and externally was stressful. But I cleared a salary every month. That salary was in my bank, no matter what. Boom, boom, boom. Your money's there. Your money's there. Your money's there. I had a great pension. You know, I didn't have to thank the Lord. You know, I was earning enough money where I've got 3 children. I'm a solo mum. I wasn't worried about money, you know. So stressful, but financially, my money was there no matter what. And also you have a lanyard, right? You're protected. So even though you're accountable as the organization, you got that lanyard, you got the organization brand, you know, you got your exec colleagues here with you. Okay, you're not, you may feel on your own, son, but you're not on your own. You flip the script to being in your own business. Oh, the freedom is so liberating. It's so liberating. My goodness me, it's liberating. But stops with me. So that money coming in is down to me. If I stay in my bed for 2 weeks, the money's not coming in. If I'm frightened, if I don't know my worth, the money's not coming in. If I'm not willing to hold my own in spaces, if I don't back myself, I was a brand new business. Like I said, I had no skin in the game. I had to own it that, yeah, this style, the way I want to teach, the way I want to coach, the way I want to deliver programs, this is the right way. This drives change. This unlocks leaders. I had to believe in that because I had no track record. The track record I had was working in corporate. So yeah, I could refer to my experiences. Listen to me, I've got something different to what you've had for 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is. So that fear was deep, you know, deep root, that the fear, oh my gosh, I can feel my stomach churning now thinking about it. So I have a deep fear of, you have to go out there and back yourself and own it and have confidence that what you are delivering is yes, you know, and you don't have a lanyard to hide behind. Your brand is your brand. So if you cock your brand up, you've got to sort it. There's nowhere to hide with it. You know what I mean? I don't have a Your New Avenue or Bravery in the Boardroom lanyard. There's nothing of the sort. It's me, and me. You know, in Your New Avenue, it's just me. So I feel like there's no safety. And I think I feel massively exposed. You know, that sounds weird because I'm here. I do these webinars. I've got 2 podcasts. I'm present on social media. How can you feel exposed? Well, I do that because I believe that's the route to achieving my vision and moving forward. But the fear, I feel deeply uncomfortable. I'm a roll my sleeves up and get on with it person. It's very uncomfortable for me to be out there in that way. I'm not uncomfortable to speak in public spaces, but I'm uncomfortable to be out there. And what's happened is Bravery in the Boardroom has really got a head of steam now. You know, it's really got a profile. And so I'm going to places now where people are saying, and where do I know you from? Or you're the brave. I know you. Yeah. I'm getting that now. And it's like, oh my goodness, this feels weird. So yeah, different kind of fear, different kinds of freedom, fear, security, stress. Those are kind of the 2 different parts I've felt in making the transition.
What advice would you give to somebody in their job? So you've said you haven't just set up your own job. You've not set up your own business doing what you did before. So people don't hire you for like service and system stuff. What advice would you give to somebody wanting to set up their own business but not doing their job? You bring with you all of those transferable skills, but you're doing something different. What advice would you give to somebody thinking, I want to do that? I am a nurse and now I want to be I want to do something.
Don't do it. No. I would say that, so I see Marsha on the call. Marsha's a friend of mine and a colleague, and Marsha made a transition as well. Marsha, I hope you don't mind me calling out, but I mentioned Marsha because when we shared our stories of transition, I know that Marsha sort of stepped into her transition more. And I mention it because I just made one fell swoop. Okay. And I just did it. Now, I think I had to do it that way because I wouldn't have been brave enough to make the cut. But with hindsight, I would say, number 1, start to build up your black book in the area that you want to move over into. All right, so that transition space, start to network and make contacts with that space that you want to go into, that industry, that area, whatever it is. Start to make space. What I did start to do before I left was I started to talk on social media about what I thought about leadership, what was important, sort of nuggets about leading when it's challenging, leading when it's difficult, understanding your people. I just started to share short videos to get used to speaking about it and to kind of share it. And that was during the pandemic as well. So I know people were really struggling. And then I started to let people know that I was leaving, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do yet. So I think you can let people know, if you know you want to transition, oh my gosh, let everybody know I'm transitioning to here. You know, if you're not sure, still, you can still let people know. But starting to network, I think I missed the opportunity to start networking in the leadership and talent development space before I made the transition. I also wish I stepped into maybe an interim role first. So, and when I say that, I mean being able to get out of full time, because I didn't have enough headspace to work through what I wanted to do and to start to think it through and to get ready for it. But I wish I stepped into interim, and that's why I mentioned Marsha. You know, stepping into interim, being able to go part-time, so you still got money coming in, but you've got a bit of runway ahead of you to start building up your new business and what that starts to look like. I had a gap. So I saved 6 months expenses, but that ran out. And then I had a gap before the business started to make money. So build your network up in the new space. Start to let people know you're making a transition, even if you don't know what it is yet. Think about whether you could step into some interim work, so maybe part-time, but paying a good day rate, so you've got money coming in, you've got a bit of runway ahead of you. Definitely having 6 to 12 months runway to give yourself time to build up credibility, network, potential clients in a new space. But once you've done all of that, just press the button. Just press the button. Because if you don't press it, it's never going to happen.
Can I just add, it's making me think, I didn't work in healthcare before I set up this business. I used to work in a university, and I set up my business. I was working in my job, but I'd handed in my notice, and I was working with a group of GPs at the university, and they said, what are you going to do now? And I said, don't know. No, but I was writing their operating plan in my job. I said, oh, I'm leaving. And they said, well, who's going to finish our business plan? And I said, I can. Will you pay me? And they went, yeah. Are you setting up a business? And I went, yeah. And literally, I went home and I said to my sister, how do you set up a business? And she went, oh, just Google it. And I said, oh, what should I call it? And she said, oh, just call it your name. Like, my sister's got business. And literally, that I set up my business and I grafted. And I used to listen to a podcast called Eleanor Beaton, and she always used to talk about creating a category of one. So on top of all of Monique's advice, I would say, like, do your research. And I was on LinkedIn, I traveled all over, I met somebody and said, oh, you do CPN stuff, I'm interested in that. She was like, oh, come over, went to Richmond, and if it wasn't for her, she opened up so many doors to me. I listened to the General Practice podcast with Ben Gowland. I messaged him, I was like, I love your podcast. And he was like, oh, thanks. Like, nobody really listened to it at the time. He was like, do you want to go for a drink? I was like, yeah. So I would just, you just have to hustle your way. If you have a plan, great. If you don't have a plan, to a degree, even better, because you've just got to go for it. Because I had 3 kids under 5. My husband worked, but not enough. So you just have to, I think you just have to be so focused, so unbelievably focused. And I wanted to ask you, Monique, you mentioned, like the fear. How do you pick yourself up after a really crap day? And on those days where you think you're clear, and I know my zone of genius, I'd got my strategy, and then you wake up one day, or you have a bad meeting about you have not a great interaction with a client, you feel really wobbly. How do you pick yourself up? Because you've still got to graft. You can't be like, oh, I'm gonna hide away for a month.
Yeah. And you know, that's that's the flip mode, isn't it? That's the flip mode of what you were just explaining. I want to come back to what you were saying about focus, but I'll answer your question first, okay? I think there's something about remembering why you're doing it, you know, knowing that it's okay to make mistakes. And the reason why I speak about failure, or sometimes I laugh at myself when working with other leaders, is because we all make mistakes. We all get things wrong. We all have those wobbles. Tara, you know, I'll voice note you. So, you know, another tool that I share with people is from Squiggly Careers about your personal board. And I think it's such a wonderful template that they use. But when we talk about building your network, we don't often talk about, well, who are the roles in your network, or who are the roles in your support toolbox. And I love that sheet, the personal board sheet, because it breaks down different roles for you. Absolutely, Gary. It's good to see you here, Gary. It is a great resource, Squiggly Careers, and I speak about it all the time. But they break down those different roles about the who's your cheerleader, who's your challenger, who's your questioner, who's your innovator, and have all these different roles. And I think when I've had a wobble, actually go into my cheerleaders, you know, go into them, not because I want a pat on the back, but actually because that reminder of, yeah, you are gonna wobble, yeah, those things really happen, but actually what's important is remembering what you're good at, remembering that you can do this, remembering that it's okay to wobble. You don't have to run all the way back to the start line when it goes a bit wrong. And sometimes you have to air it, you know, air what happens. You know, that meeting went really bad and this is why it happens. And actually, or I want to sound out, this really didn't land well. Can I do a bit of a debrief? So who's those trusted advisors? So your cheerleaders, if you need a little bit of a pep up, but also your trusted advisors. You know what, can I sound this out with you? I landed this on this set, it just didn't land, went belly up. I want to talk it through. I want to be able to see the lessons learned for me, not just the, oh, it was all their fault, but actually what went well and what could I do differently? And I remember, I promise I'm not flipping the script, but as an example, I'm not, but that example where you had a challenge and you messaged me and you said, this has happened, Monique. I want to unpick why. I want to get to the root cause of it. I don't want to be defensive. I want to unpick it. And you just talked it out with me factually. And then me playing back, you were like, right, this is what I think we can do. This is what I think was par for the course. But you were able to shake it out. And it just reminds me of that when something goes wrong, who's your cheerleader? Who's your reasoner? Who's going to give you that? Who's not going to tell me what I want to hear, but will give me clear, you know, neutral reflections of what they've heard. That's what it is. Clear, neutral reflections of what they've heard me say, so I can unpack it. That's what I think's needed. It's not a, oh, they're all rubbish, whatever. That doesn't really help me understand what I can do differently and what's just one of those things.
I'm just thinking I'll do that to you like every week.
It's not that frequent. It's not that frequent. It's not that frequent. It's not.
Well, it feels it. Gary. So Gary is my cheerleader.
Yes.
And I think, Monique, you are my trusted advisor. I also think be clear on what you need.
Yes.
From your trusted advisors and from your cheerleaders. And there is something about, you need a meeting of minds. Mm-hmm. So the camera keeps coming in out of focus. You need to choose wisely, because sometimes, yeah, you just need to choose there's no point in asking somebody, you know, like that doesn't run a business about strategic directions in your business if they, you know, they really don't understand. They'll be like, you could do this, you could do that, you could do this, you could do that. And it's like, you know, like you have to think about, you know, like the cash flow, the resources, you know, like the return on investment, the network all of those things that go into it. So I would say it's great to get advice, but when you're really trying to think about your next important strategic step, you need to be able to bounce somebody off that has not done the same, but understands what it's like to put, you know, like, I want to invest 25 grand, or I want to employ somebody, the most expensive person I've ever employed. You want somebody that's put their own hand in their pocket, because it's very different asking somebody that lives in the comfort of the NHS. It's very, very different when it is your own money. It is a completely different ball game. So that's what I would say.
I hear. Can I come back? Am I allowed? Am I allowed? Am I allowed? Couple of things you said there, but you know the point you made about be clear on what you need. Because can I bring that point up? So we had a situation where Tara messaged me. We do our voice notes back and forth coaching with each other, don't we? Tara messaged me and wanted to sound something out, and I said, sounds like this to me. And Tara,
she upset me. Upset me.
Yeah, doesn't say Tara was upset by it. And what Tara then played back to me was like, do you know what, Monique? Normally, I'm really clear on what I want when I interact with you. And she said, this time, what I really wanted was a listening ear, but I didn't ask for that. And then what you said hit me differently, and it upset me. And it was a little bit awkward for a while, wasn't it? But then actually, Tara being able to play that back to me and say, do you know what? This is what I needed then. And what you gave me was this, and it wasn't what I wanted. I reflect that I didn't make it clear what I wanted. But at the same time, I need you to be aware as my friend that I felt hurt at that moment. And it's important that you can do that. And I think that was most probably the best test of our friendship so far, because we were able to balance a friendship, but also being that check and challenge, trusted advisor, kick up the bum, whatever it is. But I think what you showed me when we had that conversation was exactly what you just said there. So I just wanted to play it out about ask for what you want. And as Sam's saying here, be discerning with whose advice you take to heart. Because remember, especially when we're on journeys, when we're trying to progress, we can be quite sensitive, right? And someone who you are giving power to can say something quite flippant, and it can really knock you off your step and your stride. So checking in with who am I asking for advice? Where's it coming from? And do I need it? Right? Because sometimes that's what you back to me. That's what I find with you. Sometimes you back it back to me and go, what are you talking about? You don't need that. This is why I'm saying that. So you don't shut me down, but you just go, Monique, this is what I'm saying. Or why? And you're listening to them because, you know, it's almost that thing, isn't it? You're listening to that person because, why are you listening to them? So, you know, just want to really tease that out there. Can I rewind 2 steps?
And I just want to, one of the things, can I just say, I know we're talking about business and leadership and bravery, but I think in that moment, I feel like in business, you need great friends, and you need to be a great friend. And I think and I must admit, there've been, I wouldn't say I've got lots, I've got a few good friends. And I think that's what I need. And sometimes you say things that I might upset you. I would never, that's never my intention. You might upset me. I think in the past I've gone, do you know what? Don't need it. And I've just, I'm like one of those people, like, I can forgive you and I can forget you. Like, she's dead to me. And I must admit, I definitely cut off relationships. But in that moment, I did think, you are an amazing friend to me. Amazing friend. And I think in business, in life, in love, in leadership, you need great friends. And sometimes we make mistakes, and don't be so harsh, don't cut people off. And my role as a leader, as a mum, as a wife, as a friend, is to say, this is what I think I need in this moment. You can't expect people to mind read, and you can't expect people to drop everything. Do you know what I mean? So I just, one of those things that outside of all of this, I think the biggest lesson I have learned from running a business is that personal development. Who do I want to be? And then who do I want to be when I feel like I've effed up.
Uh,
So I've just got two more questions, one on focus, on
Yeah.
one on like the glass ceiling. So you were gonna, I said you, I feel like,
no, I wanted to come back to focus. So
yeah, let's focus. You start, you go.
no. What I wanted to pick up on was one of the things that you absolutely support me with, you know, is about focus. Because I think I can be a bit, you know what I mean? And you'd be like, Monique, kind of, okay, what's your line of focus? What is it you're trying to land here? What is it you're trying to do here? What is it you're trying to achieve here? You boil it and you boil it and you boil it down for me, you know? I could leave you a 4-minute voice note and you'll come back with, I think you're talking about this, right? And that focus, that dedication, I believe between us, it's a very common trait that we have as to what has brought us success. And I remember when I very first connected with you, the word tenacious came up in our conversation. And I think it brings our focus to life in a different way. That is it. We are determined. And I think tenacious kind of puts focus and determination almost together. And it's something that I very much admire and am inspired by you about is about that tenacity. Because I watch and learn. I always speak about it. We are great friends, and I'm honored to be your friend. You're ahead of me in your business. And what I mean by that, you know, you've got longevity. You're being quite, I know I'm not flipping the script, I'm just calling it out. You've got a long-standing established business, long-standing, successful, established business, taken it through COVID, pivoted it, built the podcast onto it, and time again, you grow and grow and grow this business. It's got longevity, you've got runway. So when we hear people talking about runway, you know, your business, you're not chasing next month's money. You've got runways, an established, strong business. And I mentioned that because I take advice from you seriously, because it's what you were saying. Who are you taking your advice from? Have they done it? Have they been there? Do they really get it? Do they really get it? And for me, you get it. You've built the business. You've brought in staff. You've won contracts. You've pivoted. You've niched. And you continue to do it. And you continue to do it. So my learning from you, tenacity and focus, very much underpin how you bring success to your business. But the other thing that I see that I would like to mention is about you are not scared to pivot. And that's what I'm learning from you as well. I remember saying to you, well, I can't just start only talking about this coaching because of all, and you said, but it's your business. If you want to rip it all up and start again, burn that website and do something else tomorrow, just do it. You could do what you like. Yeah, you could do what you like. And I think I watch you pivot within the business, try different things out, pivot, try it. And it's just I just think it's such an important point to tease out about that focus and tenacity. Yes, but also not being afraid to pivot. I think it's another key factor.
Like, what's the point in having your own business if you know that you build your own prison? I would definitely. I often think I would burn it down and start again as soon as it stops being fun. It's just time to move on and up, or move to the side. I think nothing. I also think nothing cannot be undone, and the worst thing that could happen is you just go onto Company's House and you just create another limited company. Like, it's not. And all your reputation and all of that jazz, people move on. People are so focused on themselves. You think everybody, and I think this, and our friend Gary, you think everybody is focused on you.
You do.
You think everybody is like, and I sometimes have to be like, I have to check myself, like, Tara, everyone cares about themselves. They really, really do. Right.
Sorry.
Let's get into some questions. So Harminda asks, how do you overcome invisibility and being heard?
If I answer that from when I was in my NHS career and now, so I think two things. I think there's something about being visible for your work and being visible for what you add and bring. And I remember, and I think there will be people who will nod when they hear this. I remember when I was sort of a middle to junior level manager, so in NHS band terms, sort of band 7, yeah. I can remember sitting in steering group meetings, commissioning meetings, etc., with senior colleagues, and you want to say something, right? And you don't, and then someone else around the table says it, and everybody's nodding, and that kept happening to me. And I thought, well, I could moan and say nobody's coming to me, or or am I going to put my hand up and actually be brave enough to say something, knowing that it might be wrong? And that was the start of me, I think, in terms of being visible. It's that ability to, I feel frightened, I might get it wrong, but if I'm in a space, I'm going to take that initiative to step into it and say what I want to say. I think the bit about them being heard sometimes is out of our control, because we have people where we see representation by sight. You've got a place at the table, but you haven't got a voice at the table. Now, there are techniques we can use to help ourselves be heard, but ultimately, if you're being oppressed in that environment and people are overlooking you, or people are ignoring what you're saying, or people are just stepping over you in the meeting, that happens. That is out of your control to that point. But raising your profile, speaking about what you're good at, offering your suggestions into those spaces, and putting your hand up for opportunity does help to create your visibility. If I brought that into the where we are now, whether you're in an organizational role or whether you're running your own business, I think about being visible. Speak about what matters to you. Speak about what you're passionate about. If you do want to be more visible on social media, it doesn't have to be, all rehearsed, or you're watching other people and you're comparing. Speak about what you're passionate about. Speak about those things that mean a lot to you, because you'll be surprised how many other people are out there. And when you start talking about it and posting about it frequently, you start to grow or connect to other communities and colleagues who feel the same. So I'd encourage you to step forward in that terms of that visibility, and do it. Sometimes it feels like radio silence, but some people will be listening, they're just not liking or showing their engagement. But the minute you stop, they send you a DM saying, I've been following all your posts.
I would 100% agree. I think what I have done is build my platform, and I think of that, and yeah, sometimes I think, I question, how have I got here? How have I created this business? And I pop up a blog and thousands of people read it each month. I'm no different from anybody else, but I've got a view. I always say I might be wrong, but this is my view. This is my experience. And one by one, by one, by one, by one, people are happy to hear. Yeah, it is just, I think you have like a desire inside of you, like which overrides your fear.
Yeah.
You're scared,
Yeah.
but you still think, it's gonna bubble up. I can't not share it, because one person, it
Yes.
may help one person.
Yes. And Bisola said it further up when she said, you feel the fear and you do it anyway. Natasha, what you're saying here is you feel like that's where you're keeping your opinions and suggestions to yourself, as the room is so dominant with other people. I wasn't the person who spoke the most. So I always got feedback that I didn't speak. I wasn't someone who felt like I always had something to say when I was in my corporate roles. But if I did have something to say, I would say it, and I would say it as clearly as I could. And what colleagues start to notice, the people who are just talking. And then when they realize that what you're saying has meaning, has effect, has power, and is helping, people then start to say, well, Tara, what's your view? Natasha, what's your view? I'd like to hear from you. And many a time I got feedback, especially from the boardroom. Monique, you don't talk much. We could be in the boardroom and go through quite a few items and you don't say anything. But when you do say something, it's powerful and profound. So I just encourage you, please do put your views and suggestions forward. There is a risk that people try and steal them. There is a risk that you may not be heard, but the risk is worth it, because as Tara was saying, what you might share can really unlock something for someone.
And if when people do try to claim your ideas, I would say, I would just acknowledge that. So I'd say, Monique, absolutely, just how I just said. I'm really glad that we both agree.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you for emphasising the point that I've just made.
Yes, 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 Tara.
Thanks.
Best advice of today. No, seriously, because we know for colleagues, this is happening a lot. We know this is happening a lot. So I love that. I love that.
Okay, Monique, what has been your greatest achievement since starting your business, and what have been your biggest challenges? You shared some challenges, but what's your greatest achievements?
This is very timely, isn't it? Because a couple of weeks ago, I sponsored the Precious Awards category. So in 2017, I won the Precious Awards for Outstanding Woman in the Public Sector. For anyone who doesn't know, Precious Awards are celebrate and recognise the successes and achievements of women of colour. And yeah, I won that award in 2017. And a couple of weeks ago, so for this year, I sponsored that same category from my business, Your New Avenue. And I was really scared to do it for two reasons. One is I haven't spoken much about Your New Avenue. So all my work that I do behind the scenes is through my consultancy, Your New Avenue. But I'm very aware that on socials, I haven't really raised the profile of it. But I really wanted to sponsor the awards. And I was thinking I wasn't ready this year. You know, Your New Avenue needs to be a little bit more prominent. You know, I just don't feel fully loaded as a business owner. I haven't got enough runway, you know, and I thought, no, you can do it. Get in touch with them, say what you want to do, see what can happen. And I made a really late call. I think it was 6 weeks before the awards is when I got in touch and said, you know what, I really want to sponsor this award. I really want to do it. I really want to do it. Let's do it. And I'm so glad I did. So that's been a big achievement for me, because it felt like that full circle moment. And I don't know, I thought you look at businesses who sponsor awards and they're well established, they're big brands, you know. But actually I thought, no, I'm going to do this. And I hope that I will encourage other people to, you know, when you want to do something, if it's affordable and you can do it, do it. And it was wonderful to I took my two daughters with me as my guests, and it was just amazing to be able to do that and to be in the room celebrating so many women's achievements, and to be able to hand the award out as well. I felt really, really honoured, really honoured.
What do you mean by zone of genius?
Okay, in my words, zone of genius is the work that you love doing that doesn't feel like work at all. So, you know, I can do this without even thinking about it. Sometimes it's the thing that you don't even recognize that you would call out as work sometimes. So it might not be what you do in your day job per se, but your zone of genius is, yeah, it doesn't feel like work. This is things I do. And I always get that feedback that, you know, I'm brilliant at this, or I'm great at that. That's what I describe as your zone of genius. So the effort, you know, there's not too much effort, and the reward, how you feel about it, and what you hear back in terms of your ability to do it. That's how I would describe zone of genius. Would you describe it different, Tara?
Do you know what? I haven't got one. I haven't got one. Yeah, what I love doing, which does feel like work, I dream about typos, is I love writing. Absolutely love it. I love being creative. I love running the business. I like just helping people. I love it when people bring me a problem and I can think, well, I don't have the answer at the moment, but let's just work it out. But I don't use that term. I don't use zone of, I use niche. But it doesn't, you know, like, can I just say, you know, like whatever word resonates, because I sometimes think with like business lingo, it's like, what's your mission, what's your, you know, like your mission, vision, values, what's your zone of genius, what's X, Y, and Z, what's your passion? And actually it's great if you have all of that. 100%. Life is easier if you've got your anchor, your North Star, but you can also be super successful and not have those things. You
You know
really,
what,
really can.
I think that's a really important point, in the sense of, we know, so go back to what you were saying before about when I said just press the button. You know, you were saying if you want to rip it up and start again, you can. I think it's really important to go, because I know I speak to many people who feel that I've got to have that. I've got to have my mission, vision, and values clear. I've got to have my systems and processes right. I've got to have my website set up. And I have to have all those things before I can start operating. If I could just call out in relation to that, I did do some personal branding workshops. I did some one-to-one workshops with a wonderful woman called Colette Phillip, who's a brand strategist. I did 2 sessions with her, and that really helped me to understand, if I kept saying I want to work with leaders, why, what, how, what is it I bring to the table? She really helped me to distill that down. And that's why I can explain that quite clearly. Invaluable. And I did that before I left my corporate role. But I only set up Your New Avenues website a few months ago. So been running the business for 2 years, income coming into the business, recommendations and referrals coming in. I didn't have a website. I think we opened our LinkedIn page 10 days ago because we needed it for the Precious Awards. So, you know, I would just say to people, what you think you need. Yeah, have I got clarity of a vision? Yes, I'm better at speaking than writing, right? I can explain it to you, but have I got everything all documented and all my ducks in a row? No, I haven't. No, I haven't. So I just would call that out in terms of, you know, get on with it is what I would say. You know, if you've got the idea, yeah, you need your basics, but please don't let that put you off, and don't think you've got to have every single step lined up before you can move forward.
So there's a question about being scared, but I think you covered that when you spoke a lot about being fearful. This is a good one. How do you drown out the negative voices from people who feel threatened by you?
Ooh. I don't know if I hear negative voices related to people being threatened. I see behaviors. So I definitely experience behaviors towards me. So I saw a comment earlier about, you know, how wonderful it is to see 2 Black women supporting and encouraging each other, and the power of community. I also know there's a lot of people who I've reached out to just haven't given me the time of day, you know, just ghosted me, not responded, nothing to those reach outs. And that's okay, we get on. I've called out to people to collaborate, you know, to kind of work together. Don't hear anything back from them. So I think that thing about, I know my heart's clean. I know how I respond and want to be. There's space for everyone. Everyone can win. I honestly believe that. But in terms of energy around me, I most probably swipe it. So maybe I'm saying it like this because I'm very aware of, to make big decisions and to make big moves, you've got to clear all of that out of your way. So I most probably keep it quite far away from me. But I'm not stupid. I'm aware of people who maybe feel threatened or don't think there's enough space for me and them, and therefore they're not welcoming. They don't want to work together. They're looking at you with disdain. I'm very aware of that, but it doesn't knock me off my path, because people always come for you. Say something I say to Marcia's on the call, and Marcia will know because I've said this to Marcia many a times. When you're shining, people will come for you. So when you're in your zone of genius, when you've got that idea, when you're moving and shaking, when you're moving with confidence, people will come for you. And it's just something that happens. So when I'm working with clients and when I'm coaching people, I very much call that out, because as you see people growing confidence and clarity and they're ready, people will come for you because you're shining, and they feel threatened about that because they're not in the space that they want to be. So being aware of it, and being able to just swipe it out of your way or move around it and not take it personal. It's not you, it's them.
Can I just say, and I must admit, I've been on the other end of that. So, and it just emphasizes it's not you, it's me. So sometimes I've blocked people. They've not done anything wrong whatsoever. And if they saw that I did that, they would probably be really hurt and think, well, what's her problem? I haven't done anything. But sometimes you're just insecure. Sometimes you look over the garden fence and think, wow, that's amazing. And when it's your friend, it's like, yes, Gary, yes, Monique. When you know people, you cheer for them and you think that's amazing. When you don't know somebody and you're having a crappy day, you look at them and you feel envious and you feel like, oh, my website's not very good. My blog's got lots of typos on. I haven't hit 2 million podcast downloads. But it is just you. I've definitely been in situations, and then when I'm on the other side of it, then I can go and clap. And the other thing is, it's not the same because I've never had anybody approach me in the same field wanting to collaborate, but people have asked to collaborate with me, and sometimes I don't know what I have to offer. I feel like sometimes I say no because I don't know what I can bring to the table. Some, like, and this goes back to, we think everything is about us. Do you know what I mean? Or if you think everything is about you and I think everything is about me. So if I say no to it, it's not because I'm jealous or envious. It may mean that I'm insecure and I don't know what I've got to bring. I'll have a conversation with you, but I'm still unsure. So
but you'd voice
you
that.
have to sometimes just be.
But you'd voice that. So that can happen. So I'm not disputing that, but you'd voice it. So how I know you, you'd voice it. You touched on something there, though. Let's be honest, because we're having a deeply honest conversation about comparison, right? Let's talk about comparison, because that's what you're saying, isn't it? And absolutely, if you stay in the lane of comparison, and when I say if we, let me say it as a collective we stay in the lane of comparison, you go into this circle, isn't it? You get paralyzed. You don't even start thinking about what you can do because we're so busy comparing. When I was saying about you're steps ahead of me, and I see that, and therefore I can access and ask you lots of practical information and insights. I can feel energized and inspired to see you, another woman with 3 children, moving and shaking and doing it. It inspires me. But I could also compare myself and say, actually, why can't I make decisions like that? Why am I not lighting up those collaborations? Why? I could do that. I could choose to do that. And sometimes I do. Like you said, you see someone looking shiny. Like I said, when you shine, people come for you. You see someone looking shiny. Millie, I love that. Comparison is the thief of joy. I love that statement. And it's true. It's about checking yourself. So the honesty is, it happens.
Yeah.
Happens, doesn't it? Especially if you're active on socials, it happens. I think the check-in is going, and also I don't know the backstory. So people come to me, as an example, people come to me and say, I see you on LinkedIn, da-da-da. My response all the time is, social media makes things look very sexy. Okay. And what I mean by that is, it can look like that. It's popping. It's yes. Now, I'm not lying on social media, but you don't know what's going on behind that. And we never know that. So sometimes when we're comparing, you're right. They might have 2 million hits. We don't know what the conversion rate is. We don't know what else is. The business could be falling apart. That person could be on their knees. We don't know. So yes, I compare. Of course I do. I'm human and I do it. But I really try and pull myself back into that lane of observing, because I love to learn by observing. Yeah, observing, understanding. How did you do that? That's interesting. But when I trip into comparison, it's trying to catch myself and pull myself back. But I hear what you're saying, though, as well. When it feels like people might be coming for you or people may be ghosting you, it may not be for a negative reason. And I hear that reasoning as well.
I just say, Millie, I messaged a guy called James Somaru. I messaged him, comparison is the thief of joy. last week. I was like, why is this not good enough? And he just basically said, but are they making any money, Tara? So, and also come off social when you're in that frame of mind, because everybody will, it's not a good space. Right.
And Hertie, that's what I mean. You see, when you're saying that comparison can give courage in some situations, that's the way I would describe the observation, you know, almost observing, learning, almost like you're saying there, if you could do it, I could do it. So it's giving you that energy, isn't it? But it's staying in the right lane of it and not tripping into that either jealousy or woe is me, which stifles you then, doesn't it? As Millie said, it's the thief of joy. I love that, Millie. I want that across the top of my laptop. Comparison is the thief of joy.
So we're not going to get through all of these questions, but I did think these are all podcast episodes, Monique. When are you going to bring back the podcast? That's my question. Okay, next one.
So yeah. So Bravery in the Boardroom, we have the podcast. Be yourself, back yourself, and make it happen. Watch this space, because series 3, my long-awaited series 3, will be out in the new year. And if you follow Your New Avenue on TikTok, you will see that we release snippets of the previous episodes as well. So I must, as you've been telling me, Tara, I must remember that Your New Avenue is on TikTok as well. So do check us out. Lots of leadership coaching and tips there.
Sure. On your LinkedIn, rather than having Bravery in the Boardroom as your banner, you should have, like, Bravery in the Boardroom is just one of the things that you do. Do you know what I mean? So you can have Your New Avenue, you can have your social media channels, you can have your podcast.
Noted. Okay, everybody heard that here now. Okay, so everyone's going to be watching my banner with interest to see when it changes.
I expect to see it change tomorrow. Right, Monique.
No pressure.
She asked, Monique, are you intentional about your networking, or will you answer every request for the sake of increased visibility? Do you mean like on social media, I'm guessing?
No, I don't. No, I don't. So I think what's really important for me is that I'm reaching the people that I want to reach and need to reach. And when I say that, I don't mean that, oh, I mean who we're speaking about. Like I mentioned at the beginning, you know, colleagues, leaders, people who want to lead, aspiring leaders who want to progress, people who want help with progression, colleagues who are underrepresented, leaders in decision-making situations, senior leadership teams who would like my support, moving themselves from good to great and understanding how to lead more inclusively. So it's important to me that I speak to my audience, those people who I can help and support. So it's not a numbers game. It's not a numbers game, because if I did look at my numbers of who I have as followers versus the engagement that I have, the engagement is high. And I think that is because, one, I asked people what you would like me to speak about and focus on, what would help you. And two, because of that thing about I'm trying to reach my target audience.
So I think the takeaway there is that for those people reaching out, to help the recipient connect with you, you do need to be, if not crystal clear, a little bit clear in.
And what I mean, what I mean is that I don't just ignore people just because. But I mean, if you're on socials and you're fairly active, you get a load of people trying to sell you stuff, don't you? And stuff that you don't have a need for. And that's what I mean, where I don't just click everyone just because. But I absolutely do not want to filter out people who want to connect with me for genuine and the right reasons. It's more about, I don't just click everyone just for the sake of it. I try and be clear about filtering out, but that's not to exclude someone who doesn't put a message on. You might not put a message on, but I'm still going to accept you.
Okay. Marcia asks, what would be your top tip for someone who is nervous about starting their own business due to work-life balance?
I mean, the honest thing is balance has been one of the biggest challenges for me this year. So, you know, I'm closing the business for Christmas for 2 weeks. And in that time, I really want to think about how I'm working in 2024. I'm trying to book all my holidays for 2024 now, because I learnt my lesson about this year when I didn't have enough downtime and I've been too full on in the business business. So my thing would be about really planning how you like to work and the best way you like to work, and almost stepping, like I'm doing, proactively putting those breaks in, or knowing what your boundaries are, and how you put your boundary up and down. Because sometimes it will be really busy, you'll have a hot period and you need to put your boundary down, and you accept that and you understand that. But in those moments, it's also remembering to put the boundary back up. Okay, that period's passed now. Have I put my boundary back up? So whether that's late working, evening and weekends working, it's just knowing you do have control to flex the boundary, but also being disciplined enough to put it back up when that period has passed.
Really quickly, Gerald asks, one common theme I tend to hear from ethnic minority people trying to get into mainstream business is that they are not taken seriously or shown enough respect in the market. How could one navigate around that challenge?
I think there's a few things. So number one, there are some great support networks around now. So there's a number of things like Foundervine, and I'm not endorsing these. There's Foundervine, there's Strive Be the Business, Lloyd's Banking Group do a lot for Black businesses. There's also a woman called Michelle Raymond. She recently did a diversity business summit. So actually she ran a whole day event for people from ethnically diverse backgrounds to, number one, showcase their business, but more importantly, share those insights about how to move your business forward and to win corporate contracts. And she had corporate sponsors there. So I think tapping into the support that's out there and available, because there is some, to help navigate that. But also what I said at the beginning, you know, really backing yourself, because if you don't back yourself, who will? So the part I'd connect to that is knowing your worth. So that can be scary, but know your numbers and know your worth. You know, yes, I am a Black woman running a business, and I'm very proud to be Black, and I don't hide that, but I am running a business. And if I'm running a business and I'm the business owner and I'm the person pitching in front of you, I know that I need to show a level of confidence and deliver that. And I also know that I can walk away if you're not showing me the respect, i.e. knowing my worth and what that is, that I have the confidence to walk away from that as well. So it's not for the faint-hearted, but there is support out there as well, which is great to see. And if you just Google it or have a look on socials, you'll see there are quite a few prominent networks, groups and programs that support ethnically diverse businesses.
Okay, do two really quick questions.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever feel conflicted when you decided to step down from NHS and go private?
No, I didn't feel conflicted. I felt guilty. So one of the biggest reasons that stopped me from leaving before was guilt. I felt guilty for leaving my team. You know, my team were very loyal to me. We were very close-knit. I felt guilty from the perspective of, you know, you've got into the boardroom, you're one of very few, now you're walking away from it. How dare you? So that was my own guilt and the own conversation in my mind. So it was guilt that really stuck with me. But once I made the decision and I was honest, so when I was leaving, I did a video, to an all-staff video, to be honest about why I was leaving, about, you know, really, I've struggled for a number of years with work-life balance. I felt like I was on the edge of burnout. I mentioned I've got 3 children. I got my director job. My son was 4. He wasn't even in school yet. That constant juggling, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to keep delivering at the standard that I wanted to. And I knew I didn't want to progress. The next step for me was a CEO. I didn't want to be an NHS CEO. So for me, I haven't looked back, but I worked with my coach for 15 months before I actually was able to hand in my resignation letter. And a lot of that was dealing with my guilt.
And then last question from our friend Gary. What do you do to compete with the recognised big name consultancies who have more credibility in the eyes of their customers, or eyes of customers?
I think they have more credibility from track record. They have more credibility maybe in breadth of what they cover. I'm very clear about what I bring to the table. So what I bring to the table is different, I think, to what most larger consultancies bring. I bring, like I said, the lived experience of progressing my own career. of understanding what it feels like to be underrepresented. But most importantly, I bring the experience of being in the boardroom and being at senior level and having to make some of the decisions that I'm supporting colleagues with as well. I've been there in the organization to do it. And also I'm very real. So how you see me here, if you've been on a session with me, is how I turn up. And that personal connection to empower and enable people and encourage them, I don't see that in larger consultancies. So our uniqueness is we are supporting you to be brave, both as individuals who we work with, but also as organizations. And I don't see bigger brands bringing that. So I focus on what we do and why I think we're different. And that's what I was saying to the answer before. You got to back yourself and kind of knock the comparison out of your mind. Because otherwise, if you don't, I think you're constantly looking, aren't you? So I observe, and that's why I use my language carefully. I observe, but I trust in what I do. And recommendation and referral, Gary. And yeah, I am passionate, right? I normally want to bang the table about stuff, right? But I really, really see my calling as building a movement of brave leaders. I really see that as my calling. I believe that's what I'm here to do, is to build a movement of brave leaders. So yeah, I can't bottle that, but I can express it.
I think we should stop there. I just want to say, in regards to key takeaways, I think I don't think this will be a surprise, but I think it's nice for your community to see you on the other side of the table. I think everybody, if there was any doubt, which I'm sure that there wouldn't be, that you do walk your talk, and that the person that you are consistent. I am very different on a good day, on a bad day. You are not. You are consistent. And I think you are bold, you are brave, you do back yourself. And I think the conversations that we have, I did, like at one point it was just like, these are the conversations that we have. And I would say to anybody, if it's not Monique, because there's only so many hours in the day, is to find yourself the equivalent, and that you will have a friend. And they don't have to, we didn't start off as friends. It was just like, I like what you're doing, you like what I'm doing, let's chat, and then let's just go from there. And I would I think I would reach out, because it's invaluable. It is so important to have peers who you respect, similar things that you can bounce. There's no competition. I've never ever felt like I only feel support. So I definitely think if you haven't found your person or people, I would definitely make that a goal for 2024, because it will just catapult you. You kiss goodbye to like procrastination and decision making. It's like, okay, well, let me hit up Tara, let me hit up Monique, let me hit up Gary, and it's like, oh, you've got the answer, but you've just got a solid foundation to help you reach that conclusion. So I'm going to stop. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And just before we opened the webinar, Tara said to me, you should do this yourself. You could do this on your own. And I said, no, that doesn't feel right. And this answers my question about why it doesn't feel right, why I knew you were the right friend and colleague and successful business person to actually interview me today, and I can't thank you enough for leaning into this, and for us being, I want to say to both of us, for being brave to go with what we saw here, wanting to share the insights that people keep asking about, actually, and wanting to unpack it here and really talk about bravery in our boardrooms, okay? Because I think that's what we've been speaking about today, is bravery in our boardroom. So thank you so much. I want to just wrap up before we go. So Millie, could we just pop the slides up? And thank you, everyone. I really appreciate, I'm seeing the chat out of the corner of my eye. I really appreciate your comments, your support. You know, and I was determined that we'd be honest today. I really wanted it to be an honest conversation. Bravery in the Boardroom is not just a strap line, right? Being brave is about being honest and it's about being real, to encourage and unlock, like I said, some of those things that are really helping us to forge forward in our careers. And as Tara said, you can't do it on your own. So who is that trusted person you can find? But we wouldn't be Bravery in the Boardroom without a takeaway action for you before you go. So this is your takeaway action. I'd like you to identify your top career intention for 2024 and write it down. Okay. Now, I've used my language deliberately here. Me and Tara speak, and Tara taught me the language of intentions rather than goals, and it's a game changer. When I think about my intentions rather than my goals, I feel a different level of connection to an intention. I feel less stressed, but I feel more connected to it as well. And because we have different colleagues joining us on the call today, some of you are in, you know, organizations, you're in public sector, you're in private sector, some of you are running your own businesses. And that's why I've worded it this way. Identify what your top career intention for 2024 is and write it down. And I want to come back to you. When we share the recording, I want to ask people to share it with us. So write it down, capture it somewhere, and hold that close, okay? And yep, Gary, if you already know what it is, stay in consultancy, go leadership in practice. If you know what it is and you want to share it in the chat, please do so. But Millie, can we click onto the next slide? So, Bisola, you've been with me from the day, haven't you? You've been with me all the way through. So remember those webinars, 2021, and I'm not hiding from them, because if anyone wants to listen to that first set of 6 or 7 leadership webinars that I did back in 2021, they are the first 6 episodes of my podcast. So on Be Yourself, Back Yourself and Make It Happen, you can listen to those recordings. And I think Tara was my first guest.
Yeah.
On those webinars. And again, you backed me, didn't you? You backed me and said, all right, I'll come on, I'll be your guest. So please do, if you want to. I'm not hiding where I started from. But Bravery in the Boardroom podcast, here we are. We have another podcast, I believe, as you can tell, in the power of a podcast, and so does Tara. Please do check it out. We'll be sharing the links to the podcast as well. And I mentioned Bravery in the Boardroom podcast, why do we do it? Because you told me that although you enjoy the panel discussions, and we've had Farah, one of our previous panel guests, here with us today in the audience, you also told us that you want to dig in. So like we have today, you wanted us to dig in with some of our leaders and to hear more about not just their journey, but like what you were touching on, Tara, what are they doing? How are they driving change for good? How are they using their influence to drive change? How are they continuing to climb the ladder? So not just the backstory, but looking forward as well. So do check these out. Tara, how many episodes in are you on Business of Healthcare?
278.
Right. Okay. Longevity. Remember what I was saying? So Business of Healthcare podcast, 278 episodes there for you to check out. Anyone who is saying any questions that you had, I saw a question in the chat that we didn't get to about making the shift from, I think it was clinical or technical to corporate in the NHS. That back catalogue, there are so many different NHS colleagues, healthcare colleagues, wider care, so many different episodes in there. And you also get a mix of Tara sharing some of her solo episodes about being successful in business. Please, please, please check it out. Please don't tell me that you don't know where to access resources. Those resources are there and they're evergreen. Please do tap into them. Millie, shall we click on one more? Further information. So Millie and Liam, I believe, will be dropping, thank you, Liam, dropping these links into the chat. We'll share the recording of today with you in a couple of weeks. Liam likes to tidy it up and top and tail it before we release it. So it will be with you shortly. So anyone who's registered will get a copy of the recording as well, and we'll share it on all our platforms. But if you want to access further information now, before then, please do check out the Bravery in the Boardroom website. Tara was on me today. Please do check out your new avenue, my leadership and development consultancy website. And also check out THC Primary Care. You can access Tara's blog, all the information about what her business does and the podcast. And Tara has just kindly dropped the direct link to the Business of Healthcare podcast into the chat as well. And Millie, I think we've got one more slide, if I'm right. I think two more. Please do, if you want to tag us on social media, let us know what you found useful today, what your top takeaways were. Here are our social media handles. Tara is also on social media at Tara Humphrey on LinkedIn and Twitter, and also at THC Primary Care on Twitter and LinkedIn as well. Please do use the hashtag #WeAreBrave. It's always great to hear from you. I love to hear from you. It's what helps us shape what we do moving forward. And I think we've got one more. Thank you so much, everybody. A big thank you to Tara. Thank you. I made it. Okay, I made it without crying. I made it without shirking a question. Okay. But thank you so much, because I know how busy you are. So I really appreciate you giving us the time today. Thank you to Millie and Liam behind the scenes, my Bravery in the Boardroom colleagues who always make everything so slick and help us to get this show on the road. And most importantly, thank you to everyone who joined us today. Any questions that we didn't get to, I am more than happy to pick them up offline. And when we send out the recording, I'll send some responses to those as well. We might even do a little video. I might even do them on a little video and do the responses to the questions as well. Okay. So thank you so much for joining us. And Tara, I'll give you the last word.
Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. You are most welcome. Thank you. But take care, everybody. And thank you for joining us. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye.